Hey folks, what's up? Thanks for checking out my 8.25 balanced Druid guide. So if you're new to Moonkin, um, these awesome little Druids are pretty fantastic for single target damage. They've got great utility. Their AoE is a little undertuned this patch, but we're going to review some of the awesome utility that they bring to different raids, and as well to Mythic Plus, in addition to Azeroth traits, rotations, stats, all the good things. So speaking of which, let's dive right in. As far as talents are concerned, the ideal raid build should look largely like this. You want to go with Nature's Balance. It really allows you to just generate extra astral power. For me, Wild Charge is the way to go. I like being able to jump or bounce backward out of damage. Restoration Affinity helps. It actually helps pick up a little bit of slack for the healers, and they've got to worry about me a little bit less, and I can help out in a pinch. Typhoon, really any of these tier 4 talents, it just comes down to you knowing what the mobs are like that you're going to face and seeing if they're applicable whatsoever as far as rating goes. Following that, Incarnation, the Chosen of Elune, is a fantastic way to progress, followed by Stellar Flare and Shooting Stars. This 80% of the time is going to cover where you need to go from a raid build standpoint. You can go boss by boss, and there's some tweaks and customizations. Definitely take the time to do that little bit extra bit of homework if you're looking to min-max. Alternatively, if you are more of a Mythic Plus player, we don't suggest actually Nature's build. Go with Force of Nature. Gets you the tree ants, and they're just a ton of fun, right? Who doesn't like having little woody assistants? Following that, I like to stick with Wild Charge just for the mobility perks. Restoration Affinity again helps with healing. Alternatively, I go with Typhoon, but it really just comes down to what are you into? Do you need a single target stun like Mighty Bash? Do you just need an AoE tie-up or knockback like Typhoon can bring? Or do you need mass CC like Mass Entanglement can provide? All kinds of great options there in Tier 5. When it comes to Tier 6, Incarnation, the Chosen of Elune, still is my preference. We don't have a ton of cooldown, so I'll take any extra burst we can get. The second last tier, Tier 6, I actually go with Twin Moons. So this helps Moonfire, increases its damage, and really when it comes to Mythic Plus, you should be rotating between all of the different little opponents or packs that are out there and making sure that you can get a dot from Moonfire on all of them. So finally after that, we want to go with the Fury of Elune, and that just has a really nice punch that comes with it, right? So you get 40 astral power right off the bat, and it's on a really quick 1 minute cooldown, which should line up with even the quickest of trinkets out there. So that's the quick discussion around talents. Let me know, what did I get? What did I miss? What are the things that I'm taking for granted here? When it comes to Azerite traits, almost all scenarios are going to want you to have at least one Arcanic Pulsar. If you are not as familiar, it increases the damage of your Star Surge. After 9 Star Surges, it gives you Celestial Alignment or the Incarnation Chosen of Elune for 6 seconds. So it's basically like a free buff. It's by far the best option for balanced druids, but after you have one, there's not a ton of value. So remember, rule of thumb, at least ensure you have one Arcanic Pulsar. And after that, then you can start to stack up following traits. Speaking of the ones you want to stack, go with Streaking Stars. Even go up as much as 3 of them. It's probably the best single target trait after Arcanic Pulsar. Basically, it's heavily used in almost all single target. Its burst potential is really high. The trait's really straightforward. For every ability that you can cast, which isn't repeating using your Celestial Alignment window, it deals a certain amount of damage. When you have Celestial Alignment activated, make sure not to repeat the same spell to make full use of it. It deals damage on spell impact, so keep that in mind if you want to min-max your damage to the fullest when your Celestial Alignment is about to expire. So really just make sure you're rotating through all your different ones. Secondly, there's some other good ones that are out there. Treacherous Covenant, Power of the Moon, Lively Spirit. You can have a little bit of fun with all of them. If you're really coordinated, so you're dialed into some kind of Discord, Lively Spirit really helps out your healer. If you can coordinate that and just apply Innervate, it will actually get you some pretty awesome intellect benefits from it. And then again, Arcanic Pulsar doesn't really change a thing. It just fits rather perfectly. When it comes to our traits past that, I think that largely wraps up where we're at. Stat ranking is a little bit different as far as this generalization will go. Balance is kind of weird because it changes stat priority based on the gear you're wearing. And despite the stats order or a standard order, really what the key is if you go and sim and ensure that the stats that the new gear is going to bring you is actually going to make a benefit. At the highest level, intellect and haste are most valuable, and they're more valuable than mastery crit or even verse. And mastery crit are, call them their Bs, and versatility is like a B minus. It's not even like the drop off is that much. So you want to stack as much intellect and haste as you can. Yeah, and that's all good. So as far as racial perks go, Troll is really one of the best preferences if you are in charge of or like to be stacking and using Berserk or an on-demand cooldown to kind of complement our burst, which is great. For Alliance, Night Elf has just that slightly better DPS, especially if you're going with some nighttime raiding. None of the new allied races beat that. I know Cool Terran comes close, but not, doesn't bridge it enough. Now, finally, with playstyle and rotation, this is basically the best approach. Make sure you're maintaining your dots on all of your targets. So cast Solar Wrath when you don't have any empowerments and you need to generate AP. If you can cleave 2 targets, Lunar Strike becomes your AP generator ability. Cast Star Surge to consume AP. Star Surge will grant you charges of empowerments, so Lunar Empowerment and Solar Empowerment, which cap at 3 and are consumed by casting Lunar Strike and Solar Wrath. Avoid capping empowerment. Don't waste them. So for our balance opener, if you're less familiar, this is your opener without Nature's Balance, which should be used in actually most of the cases. So stay tuned here. We'll leave it here just in case, but it's really going to be for Mythic Plus. You'll see Nature's Balance on pretty much every encounter for raiding. So begin your opener as far away from your target as possible. Pre-cast Solar Wrath around 2.5 seconds before the pull, and then as soon as the first finishes, you begin to cast another. After you cast those 2, you start applying your 3 dots, and after that, Solar Wrath to 40 Astral Power before popping your Incarnation, Chosen of Elune. With Nature's Balance, open up by pre-casting Solar Wrath 2.5 seconds before the pull. Then go on to Star Surge so that you don't lose any of the AP pre-casting more Solar Wrath. After your Star Surge is successfully cast, apply all your dots. Then get to 40 AP by casting Solar Wrath and pop your cooldowns. For multi-target situations, other than keeping dots on all your targets, your rotation will only change when you have 7 or more targets, as long as you have 1 Arcanic Pulsar trait. Same as your single target rotation, with the exception of using Starfall. Unfortunately, Starfall is really undertuned, so you'll most likely never end up using it, especially in raids. So as far as playstyle goes, there's a couple different builds that we're going to rally around. There is a Starlord build that's out there. If you want to dig into it, actually go set up the little small macro to cancel the Starlord ability, and that we'll get into that. So when you're using the Starlord macro, it basically gives you a buff. Putting this macro in place actually allows you to cancel the buff and allows you to essentially reset the rotation every 3 Star Surges. So your goal is to build 3 stacks of Starlord buff, and when there are 8 seconds left to the buff, cancel using the macro and spend all of your AP immediately. When using the macro in rotation, there's an 8-second cutoff on casting Star Surge, and if you have to cast Star Surge at any point within 7 or 8 seconds remaining, it's better to cancel the buff and start your cycle over. If you're going to go the direction that we had suggested here with Incarnation or Celestial Alignment, the only time where you'll save it is when there's multi-target or priority damage moments that are upcoming. You normally never want to keep your Incarnation so long that you lose uses of it throughout the fight, except for situations when you know that you're going to priority burst and it's a must-have for your raid. If you're for a Loon, if you're less familiar, on single target, you just use it on cooldown, and together with Celestial Alignment and Incarnation Chosen of a Loon, the situations where there's AoE is simply use it on the target that's most central to them all, and as your Fury of a Loon only hits targets around 8 yards from the target you have it on, keep in mind that certain mobs jump over as part of their abilities, so avoid using it on them. As far as Force of Nature works, you can use it on cooldown to make sure your tree ants are on top of your target you want to attack, and just mainly because they're slow to walk around and there's no point of wasting damage. Balanced druids don't have a ton of defensive spells, but they do have a lot of healing spells. Our base kit gives us Bear Form, which grants extra HP, Bark Skin and Regrowth, which actually can help protect us really quick if we find that we're in trouble. Alternatively, you can go to Garden Affinity, which should also give you Frenzied Regeneration, which is a fantastic cooldown if that's the direction you want to go. Alternatively, go with that Restoration Affinity. That's what we suggested for both raids and Mythic Plus. It's really the default choice, and it gives you Swift Mend, which is just a great instant cast self-heal. So it's basically a free healing potion every 25 seconds with the cost of 1 global cooldown. So it's a great way to live. I'm a big fan. As far as movement improvements go, one of the things that balanced druids kind of struggle with is movement. We lost Stellar Drift in our single target and multi-talent rotation since BFA dropped. Optimization of movements is one of the more important aspects of being a balance. So if you know there's movement coming, do your best to hold 40 astral power so you can move and cast a Star Surge. It's really important you try to move between global cooldowns of Star Surge if you don't need to immediately rush a position. Alternatively, you can use Wild, Charge, or Dash, or Tiger Dash if you need it to increase your mobility, but it's going to cost you some DPS. That's primarily it, folks. Definitely take some time, check out weak auras, check out all the macros that are out there. There's some great ones and a few of the Druid Discords that are out there. But check it out. Let me know what you like. Let me know what can be done better. All the good stuff, and drop it down in the comments. If you made it this far, let me know what's good, what I could do different, and what you'd like to see in the future. Thanks again for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.